Yo, good morning, everybody. Listen, for anybody that's confused, good morning. This show is not the morning coffee show, right? I mainly do morning coffees on Saturdays and Sundays now because of my work schedule. When I was working nights, I necessarily couldn't do it. I could do it because I would have all that free time in the morning to do whatever it is I wanted to do. So that's how that show became what it was, because many people wanted to get up in the morning and listen to the things going on in the conscious community, listen to a lot of the post arguments from certain platforms, and that's what made the show popular. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to let everybody know this is just me driving to work in the morning, kicking it with you all about things that are going on. And since I'm doing that, I'm going to have this conversation with you all this morning because I think it's needed. And the conversation I want to have with everybody tonight is we're going to do a review of the Billy Carson Wes Huff debate, because there were some things said on both sides that kind of made me raise an eyebrow. And for the life of me, I'm gonna be honest with you all, I don't necessarily see where Billy Carson was so horrible at, like everybody else was saying. I think the problem was Billy Carson, he does a comparative method so bad that he was only speaking about parallels in the religion, and he allowed the Christian apologists to push the narrative because Billy Carson wasn't saying a lot. That's all I really heard. Things like Jesus had a wife, when he was bringing up those things, I don't understand why Wes Huff was acting as if those things had never been said before, or if Christian history doesn't include those things in the narrative. I didn't understand why Wes Huff was acting so skeptical about it, which Billy Carson should have really been on top of. Billy Carson should have really been stepping on some of the things that Wes Huff was saying. Another thing that Billy Carson should understand is he was debating an apologist, not a Christian, right? And I like to say that apologists aren't necessarily Christians, because most of them just lie a lot. They twist the narrative, right? Now, Wes Huff was not your average apologist. He was very sharp. He understood church history, but he omitted a lot of it also. There was a part in the video, during the debate, where two things were working against Billy Carson. One, that damn moderator. Like, the moderator comes in like, well, Jesus came and changed everything. And this is why, if it would just be the Old Testament, I understand. He was doing the appeal to emotion nonsense all day. So that was working against Billy Carson. The moderator isn't supposed to say anything. He's only there to moderate the debate, not give his opinion about church history, not give his opinion about anything. He's there to moderate and highlight the talking points that both debaters are making. No one cares how he feels about the debate. And I felt like that was real important in that debate, because that allowed the Christian apologist Wes Huff to gain a lot of momentum. And Billy Carson, I do see something of a character assassination with him going on, and that's common in big time debates like that. But I don't know Billy Carson personally, right? Let me come off the tree for a moment. I don't know him personally, right? But some of the things he says is true, right? Like, nobody's going to be on YouTube 100% correct all the time. You know what I'm saying? No one's going to be correct all the time. But I just I didn't see him like getting obliterated in that debate. I was listening to the debate. I think he remained calm. Yeah, he said some things that were off the wall. This is not me trying to be pro Billy Carson, but I honestly thought that the opponent he went against was very used to the parallel argument. And Wes Huff is not no ordinary Christian. Like, I could debate a Wes Huff. I really could debate him. I really could debate him because I saw what Wes Huff was doing, right? Wes Huff would ask him about the story of Gilgamesh. He would ask him what happened in the story of the Gilgamesh. See, he was highlighting what happened in the story of the Gilgamesh. And Billy Carson would explain to him what happened as it pertains to Noah's Ark. Right? And Billy Carson understood the story of the Gilgamesh. You could tell he studied it. He was well read. He was not ill prepared to defend some of his stances. He was not ill prepared, right? Because both of them were some off the wall shit as it pertains to their doctrines, right? The one thing I would love to tell Billy Carson is, hey man, never acquiesce or agree with anything that your opponent says. You always make a Christian prove everything, because Wes Huff wasn't even in the Bible. He was out of the Bible. You keep him in his Bible because that's what they believe is real. You got to keep them there. If you're going to have a Christian apologist talking about church history and how Christianity came to form, they're going to win that. You got to keep them in that book because that's the book they stand on, right? All of this Unitarianism and all this other nonsense that they be pushing, hey man, I don't deal with all of that, and I don't have to deal with all that. You gotta draw your line in the sand, right? Because they always want to know your orientation, your methodology, which makes absolutely no sense because we're talking about the Bible. They want to know all that because they want to get on there and do a lot of damn bloviating, a lot of intellectual masturbating, as I say. Because he should have turned that question right around and asked him, what is your methodology pertaining to Christ being real? Right? And you could have literally destroyed him. You know what I'm saying? You know, the fact that he teaches Christ is God and all of this other stuff. I'd have like, so God was circumcised? God was in a pool of sinners? And then if he says, well, God had to come and be man, hey man, can you show me that in the book? Because it said that he was the son of David. You got to know how to keep a Christian apologist in the book because you want them to explain their way out of the book. So when you're talking to him, you can say, okay, so you don't believe anything in your book. Christian apologist rhetoric. Let me turn this down a little bit because this was a simple debate for Billy Carson. I just don't think he was necessarily ready for a debate of this magnitude because it was his time now to say, okay, I'm not a grifter. I'm not hustling people. I'm not doing any of that. I actually studied this stuff and I know what I'm doing. So let me get on that story of Noah. He said that the story of Noah's Ark is the same as the Gilgamesh, which happened 17 years prior to that. So Wes Huff asked Billy Carson, can you explain the story of the Gilgamesh? And he explained it to him. And he says, well, those stories are quite different. See, Billy Carson was dealing with parallels in the story. Wes Huff asked him to explain the overarching events of the story. And that's Billy Carson wasn't wrong. He was actually correct. It's just that Wes Huff was more experienced at debating. You got to say right there, no, the archetypes are the same. Yeah, that's what you have to say. You have to explain archetypes and some of the things that occur in the stories. You can say, yes, intrinsically they're different. The stories are different, but we have the same archetypes here, which shows the origin of the Noah story probably came from one of these Sumerian tales, mixed with some Egyptian lore. You got to be able to explain that. Now, I don't think Billy Carson was wrong there. He's right. If you got Noah's Ark in one of the oldest stories they found is in the 17th century BCE on some clay tablets, and the Gilgamesh epic, and they are found way back 1700 BCE. Some are found in 1450 BCE. And then you got Noah's Ark that isn't constructed until the seventh century, seventh century, man, you got him beat. You got him beat right there. It's like there's nowhere he can go with that. You can say, hey, look, man, these same stories happen with the Sumerians, right? And I thought that's where Billy Carson did a poor job at. I thought the job that he did was poor concerning um, the fact that he wasn't able to explain that and make Wes Huff come up off of his stance. You got to get him off his stance. Like another thing that Wes Huff said that I'm gonna be showing today is he said Wes Huff is a female. When he said that, I was like, what? He said, is Wes Huff said that God was a female, and I was just all like, that's hard to believe. He says, well, God chose to define himself in the what did he say? Masculine singular. Man, you talking about grammar now. God ain't went onto no damn English chalkboard and then said I'm defining myself in the masculine singular. Where did you get that from? The book says that he's a man. The book says that he has a son. The book says that he's married to Israel. I mean, I'm telling you, right there, I would have just buried him and said, now you're giving me something different that's not in the Bible. Jesus called him his father. What do you mean? He didn't say that's my mother. He never said that. You were supposed to tear Huff up. We don't call him Wes. You're supposed to destroy him from that point. Because now he's dealing with grammar and linguistics. Like, man, we're not talking about grammar and linguistics. How does the God of the Bible and these people define their God? Where did he ever say that he was feminine at? What Mishnah or Talmud taught that? Can you show us that? I mean, he was really supposed to pounce on that right there. And like I said, so I didn't hear the worst debate of all time. What I'm hearing, excuse me, is sitting up there talking shit about a man who became quite successful, talking about ancient historic philosophy and things like that. I'm hearing a lot of that going on. I'm hearing Christians parading like, yay, he was beat. And because he was beat, that means our story is true. No, it's no on both sides. No, sir. It's no on both sides. Billy Carson is not a debater. Billy Carson was quiet. He was a bit poised. You know what I'm saying? That's what I saw, at least. I mean, I just try to tell people, like, where was this blowout at? The Christians are saying, yeah, I've been waiting for years for him to be destroyed. And I'm just all like, your champion, Wes Huff, said that God was a female. And y'all gonna ignore that? Both of them, two people can be wrong at the same time. In a debate, I keep telling this is why I tell people, this proves what I've been saying for the longest. Debating isn't about right or wrong. It's about your ability to convince the audience that you are right and your opponent is wrong. That's what a debate is. That's all a debate is. A debate will forever be that. And Wes Huff, with all the gish galloping and all the Christian rhetoric, was able to convince people that he's right and Billy Carson was wrong. One of the funny parts was when they were explaining a particular text. And he says, where's that at? Where's that? He said, what chapter and verse is that in? No, excuse me. He kept saying, what page is that on? What story? And then he would say, he said, I think Billy Carson said something to the extent of, it's there. I think, what was it pertaining to? I think it was the Gospel of Barnabas. I can't remember what it was, but I will go over it tonight. But let's say, for instance, the Gospel of Barnabas. He said, it's there. He said, it's right in there. He says, yes. I know it's there, but there are two different stories. And I was just like, see, right there, that was tricky. That was very, 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 very tricky, right? Why was that tricky? It's tricky because when he stopped him and said what chapter and verse, he made it look like Billy Carson was lying. But then when Billy Carson sat up there and said, it is there, he says, oh, no, no, I know it is. It's two different books. Y'all get what I'm saying? He was doing stuff like that, that he knew he would get caught on, right? Like the Gospel of Barnabas, the Gospel of Thomas, all of these things exist within the Christian narrative or within the foundation of Christianity. And he was doing a good job. Yeah, those things didn't exist till after century of CE, right? He's alluding to the fact if it wasn't written from the first to the third century, then somehow it's insignificant. I would have just sat up there and said, excuse me, if none of these stories are written during the time of Jesus, all of it is insignificant. How come God didn't just grab a pen and a piece of paper himself and start writing his own story? Why has God allowed this story to sit up there and be manipulated and retranscribed by man? How can you trust it if every single gospel differs? Then you got the Gospel of John. And there are other gospels that predate it, which are totally different from that of Matthew. I mean, other gospels of Matthew, that is. Go read the Gospel of Matthew from the 16th century. It's totally different. It's like he didn't know how to like really put a stamp on it. I don't know what was going on, but I do know the excuses that Billy Carson is making is ridiculous. You know, it was a fake debate. It was a sham. I'm suing. You don't have to do all of that. Nobody gonna stop listening to you because you lost the debate, man. Ain't nobody gonna stop listening to Billy Carson because he lost the debate. Don't nobody care about that. No matter how silly the things he says sounds, no one's gonna stop listening to him. Oh, we got Top Cats, right? Top Cats tells a bunch of lies, right? All these abos up there lying, and people still listen to them. So people are gonna listen to you regardless. That's where he's making a fool of himself at. He's making a fool of himself with all these excuses that he's making. Let me see what people are saying in the chat. Okay, the Pisces God says he made a huge mistake with the Christian, made a huge mistake with the Christian scholar. The guy's a biblical scholar. Okay, does that mean that he was right? Because the biblical scholar contradicted himself like 8 times up there. I counted. He was holding Billy Carson to a certain methodology that he can't hold himself to as it pertains to Christianity. Right? Arafat spent all his life on aliens on YouTube. Yeah. Same thing with Brother Javari and Vince Band too. Okay. All right. Chosen knowledge. When I seen that, I said you are one of the other brothers would have kicked his butt. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that one. I like that one. I want to highlight that one. Yeah. I'd have just held him right there to his book. And then if he would have went into Christian history, I would have said, does Christian history concern the birth of Jesus Christ? Okay, so how do we ascertain this virgin birth that you guys like to stand on when in the book of Luke there is no virgin birth? In the book of Mark there is no virgin birth. In the book of John there is no virgin birth. So we need to be having that conversation before you start getting up here and sounding like some super duper intellectual about the establishing of your church. I could care less about that. I'm here to talk about this man named Jesus that you say is God, that you all claim to be God. And I would have beat him down right up there. All you got to, I've debated tons of Christian apologists over the phone in my groups, and they run from that. Well, I don't want to discuss whether you or not. They say things like that. I'm like, no. I want to discuss whether or not Jesus is born of a virgin birth as it pertains to the Bible. I don't care about your church history. Those are two different things. Jesus wasn't at no Council of Ephesus or Council of Nicaea or none of that. He wasn't no director of none of that nonsense. And they want to run from it. See, all of that shit that man West Huff got up there and said, and he still ain't proved one thing. God is real. And Billy Carson got to miss me with the that nonsense he was up there saying is God is good all the time, right? Billy Carson, bro, that's what us black folks say. We say that, okay? He don't know nothing about that. I don't know why you were up there saying that God is good and expecting him to say all the time, and then us to sit there and say all the time God is good. They don't know nothing about that. I don't know what you were doing with that one. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what you were doing with that one. And then you started talking about the Dogon people. The Dogon people should not be in discussion because he was going into the. That's when he started getting a little doo 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 doo. He started getting a little kooky up there. You up there talking about aliens and shit. I'm and the Dogon people, right? And their involvement with aliens some thousands of years, some thousands and thousands of years ago. Like, what are we doing? That's where you started getting a little kooky up there. Like I said, if you get on YouTube and you press play and you what's that word I want to use, and you teach black folks this crazy stuff, they'll listen because we are, for some odd reason, our ears are raised, are perked up to that. I don't know why we like that narrative so much. That's something I can never understand. Why we really get into that narrative, like why we like those type of lies. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, ain't no such thing as aliens right now. You know what I'm saying? And I get what he was saying, but we don't have any. The Dogon didn't leave any primary sources behind. They left an oral tradition behind, and oral traditions can be quite. They can be a little bit questionable from time to time. Y'all remember that thing you start at one end of the classroom and you say Sam went to the store, and by the time they get to the other side of the classroom, it's something completely different. So that debate is like I didn't necessarily see him do anything so detrimental. Like, oh my God, he was so stupid because at the end of the day, Christians believe in the same type of nonsense, a virgin birth. God came out of the womb of a woman from a certain ethnicity. God participated with made himself exclusive to a small group of Bronze Age people. And that's another thing that everybody says, oh, Israelites are a Bronze Age people. Okay, the Bronze Age went from what, 1300 BCE all the way to 625 BCE? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what do you mean by that? You got to give me a date. Don't just say Bronze Age because you can automatically place them in anywhere between those 700 years. Stop it. What is the date of the first settlement in Judea as it pertains to a group of people called the Israelites? You're not going to find it. You're just not going to see it, and you're not going to find it. So Wes Huff, albeit I would have given him the win because he was controlling the narrative, I would sit up there and say Billy Carson wasn't that bad. It's just that Christians feel somewhat relieved because Billy Carson, his doctrine wasn't able really to get loose in that debate. He wasn't really able to teach the things he normally teaches. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I would say. And they just feel comfortable in that alone. Versus me, they probably would have just kicked me off the panel because I'd have been like, hey man, nah, God, I don't care nothing about that Christian history. Is this the word of God? Yay or nay? If he would have went off of that and said, oh no, especially after he said West Huff said God is a woman, I'd have been all like, okay, then cool. You lose right there. Because the Bible is a book of patriarchy, not matriarchy. It's not a matriarchal text. And I would have loved for him to explain to us why it's a matriarchal text. I would have loved for that Christian to explain that. I would have been like, hey, let's stay right there. And this is what happens when you get out of the text that you support. Because both of them do that. Both of them was up there saying, well, what I think or what I believe. Both of them were up there on that shit. Every time he would have asked me about a methodology, I would have given him a methodology on the books that I've read, right? Because I'm self-taught. And then simple. I'd have had said, where's your methodology to prove that these things, what method are you using the same methodology to ascertain that these things in the Bible are real? If he would have been like that it's faith based, I would have been on like, I agree. But here's the definition of what faith is: believing something to be true. You don't have a lot of evidence, do you? So your methodology goes out the window. That's how you beat a Christian apologist. Hold him to the text. Kansu taught me, and I've mastered it. There's nothing they can say or nothing they can do. You guys remember when I was up there on Sarnetter's panel a while back ago, and that Christian apologist was up there? He was tearing everybody a new one. I came at some very, very pointed questions. And he was, and what happened? Y'all remember that coon dude, Black Jesus Minister? He got all upset. He was scathing. It's just a direct question. I'm tired of peeling back all these fake, phony layers of Christianity. It don't exist. As a philosophy, it does. But God coming down out of the sky as a man to out of the womb of a particular ethnicity that he has claimed to chose to be his people. Man, get out of here. We getting into some real silly shit now. It from that point on, it just gets silly. Why would you choose the most insignificant people to come down and say that you're God to, when you had just chosen the Romans or the Greeks or the Egyptians? What about Mali, Songhai? What about any of those tribes? And it sounds even ridiculous with that. The problem is I've always said, man tries to define God. Man is God because man sees himself as God. A young lady hit me up on Facebook, and one of the things I say is, I'm a God, I'm a conqueror, right? I build and I destroy, right? Because that's all God is doing in the book, right? And she says she was trying to be facetious, and she said, what have you built and destroyed lately? And I said, my thoughts, reconstructing old thoughts and creating new ones so I can become successful. She said, oh. See, she was already looking for something in the physical. In other words, she was ready to say, you're not God. You didn't create any of this. Hey, man, shout out to everybody tuning in, man. 40 people on board. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. It's just my thoughts, y'all ears. You know what I'm saying? My morning drive. This is just my way of saying good morning to y'all. Want to get shit off my mind sometimes, Spend a lot of time being quiet, so you just want to kick it with some people. So I just talk to y'all. What's up, Steve? Man, Steve, I done looked at that debate like 3 or 4 times. Key is in the building. He says, what's good? What's good with you? What's good? What's good? Just going through the Pisces guy. Pisces guy. Let's see what he says. Yeah, family. So, I mean, That's I'm getting down this morning, man. That's just how the story goes. Yeah, let me put the link. I think my sis want to come up on it in here. Let me see. Key, what he say? He says Carson looked bad. I don't think he looked as bad as everybody else says he did. I think what we as the people were doing is we were focusing on everything Billy Carson said because of his popularity. I mean, I was hearing people saying things about him prior to this debate that he's the new young pharaoh, which I was even raised the eyebrow when they said that. I think he's just somebody that deals with a lot of mythology, and he regurgitates a lot of what he hears. And when it comes down to it, mythology is just that. It's just mythology. You know what I'm saying? They're fun to discuss, but a Christian apologist, remember, guys, he's going to do everything in his power to prove what you're saying is false about his God. But then, like I said, West Huff turns right around and contradicts himself the entire discussion by saying God was a female. I just want to know where he got that from. What school, what Christian thought taught that? Jadea Jones said, hey, sis. Jadea Jones said that it was a setup. What was a setup? It wasn't a setup. He agreed to debate. You have to be able to get in there and hold your own no matter what your opponent is doing. I've learned that. You have to hold your own. It doesn't matter what your opponent is doing. I was talking to my boy about that the other day. As it pertains to the Detroit Lions, I'm all like, they're 12-1, right? And he says, oh man, but Philadelphia and Minnesota. I said, I don't care about those teams. The Lions are going to define their own narrative. It ain't about what they are. It ain't about what those teams are doing. It's about what the Lions are doing. They've beaten those teams already. They ain't gonna be able to beat them 3 times, huh? Why does that matter? If they're better, they're better. It ain't about what those teams are doing. It's about what they are doing. The Detroit Lions. It's not about him being set up. It's not about that. That has nothing to do with it. Has absolutely nothing to do with it. It's about what Billy Carson was supposed to go in there and do, and he didn't do. When you see somebody delineating from what it is that they teach or what it is that the text is teaching, you're supposed to put your foot in their neck. You're supposed to say, nope, stop, nope, I could care less about your Christian church history because God didn't create it. If he was God at any of those councils, sir? No. Okay, then it don't matter. The Bible says the heart of man is wicked above all things. You better turn that corner, Mr. Kia. This Mustang be moving, baby. Shit. What up, sis?
Hey Chris, I just clicked in, but I was wondering what happened. Can you just take a quick like minute and a half and explain to me what's going on? Because I see something about he trying to sue somebody.
All right, yeah. So Billy Carson had a debate against a Christian apologist by the name of Wes Huff.
Hmm.
The debate, I didn't look at Billy Carson's debate and say, oh my God, he was just smack beat up all over the place. I thought both of them made some good points, and I thought that Wes Huff made some good points also on catching him on some of the points that Billy Carson was trying to make. That's what I saw. So regardless of that, at the post debate nonsense that's been going on is Billy Carson is now trying to sue Wes Huff, saying that it was a setup and it was all a sham. So
You can
that's
sue
what's going
somebody
on.
for a setup
I don't think so. No, I think these are just things that Billy Huff
because
is. I mean,
I didn't watch the video. I didn't watch the video, but I thought they said defamation or something. Like something
yeah,
about
yeah,
going to ringing the doorbell. Like I don't know what's going on because it's just too much to follow. Because there's so many people making videos saying that his career is over and all this stuff, and I just seen that they said something about he's suing for defamation or something.
yeah.
Uh,
Just a bunch of nonsense. It's just a bunch of nonsense, and
so what is
whether
it? What's the got you moment that they think they got him on?
there was no real got. That's what I've been saying. Since there was no real gotcha moments in there, it was a debate. Believe it or not, it was somewhat of a good debate. He made his points. Wes Huff made his. Wes Huff caught Billy Carson on a lot of things, but Billy Carson wasn't able to capitalize on the mistakes that Wes Huff was making, and that was the entire debate. Simple.
I don't know. I'm just confused because even though I haven't watched any of the videos of him talking about it or them talking about it, I just keep seeing the titles because it's all over my algorithm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Just watch the debate. It's like really, it's like it says 2 hours and 38 minutes. Yeah, just watch the debate. I mean, it goes by so fast. You could turn the speed up on it, but you'll hear the side both sides was making. And like I said, a debate ain't about right and wrong. You know what I'm saying? A debate is about if you can convince the audience that what you're saying is correct and what he's saying is wrong. And a lot of the things that the Christian apologist was alluding to, Carson could have jumped right on it, but he didn't. So that's
Yeah, that's
all.
why I said these egos and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I like Billy Carson. I think he's a real intelligent guy. I know people think some of his stuff is a little pseudo or whatever. But I was just curious. I kept saying, "What's all these videos of them saying that they got him and his career is over and he's crying and
Yeah,
he's suing?" And I was like, okay, what happened?
yeah,
But then I just
yeah.
happened to
And
look
that,
and see that you were alive. And I was okay, you
hmm
talking about it, so I thought I was trying to get more information. But I'll go back and check it
yeah,
because, like I said, I like Billy, But one thing I know, they will gang up on you. You feel what I'm saying? Like you just got to be ready for it. They'll come for your head, especially if you done been destroying their
yeah.
doctrine for years. They just because they Christian don't mean they won't lie. You know,
Right. Yeah,
Christians still
exactly.
lie.
Because that's what their doctrine is built on. You know what I'm
But
saying? So,
he just
uh,
Billy got a video on his live um saying something about fake debate video or some fake video.
yeah,
And I guess he was talking about like I said, I didn't watch it, but I'm just saying that's what the title say. Something about a fake
right.
video or something.
Mm-hmm. Man, hold on 1 second, sis. 1 second. Man, I dropped my earbud. Oh man. All right, guys. I'm gonna get ready to lock up out of here because it's dark out here, and I dropped my earbud and I gotta find it. So, guys, I'm gonna log out since I'll probably go live. Hey, if you want the key, let me know. The admin, just let me know, and you can have it, guys. I gotta get ready. I gotta get ready to start work, and we're gonna build later on tonight when I go over the video. Okay?
Okay, so you is gonna talk about it more. All right, then I'll make
Yeah.
sure I catch it. All right,
All right,
bro.
y'all.
Have a
Peace.
good one.
Peace. Peace.
All right, bye.